Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Navvai Shift podcast powered by Navvai. My name is Darnell, and I am one of the co-founders at Navvai. I'm also here with Josh, who is another co-founder, and we're here with a very special guest today, whose company is redefining accounting by using AI and technology to create a proactive rather than reactive approach. It's David, co-founder of Youtopia. How are you, David?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
I'm glad to hear, David. So, for those who may not be very familiar, could you give us a quick overview of what Utopia does and how you are transforming accounting?
Yeah, so we're a small accountancy practice that didn't like the way compliance was being done, and a lot of accountants kind of build and focus on compliance. They give you the tax returns, they give you everything at the end of the period or whenever it's due, in time to pay your tax, and that's about it. We wanted to be more of a finance director, CFO style hands-on approach that help small businesses achieve what they want to achieve their goals, focus on what they need to be doing rather than paperwork and admin tasks in the background. So we started building that. Our two main focuses are technology and the relationships. So we're building the relationships with the clients. We're becoming that right hand, that person that they need for a finance point of view. And then we're also using technology to streamline and make sure everything is working as efficiently as possible for them, and they don't have that stress to worry about with the numbers.
Nice, nice. Well, we can't wait to dive deep into, more about the AI side of things. I'm pretty sure our listeners will be, buzzing for this kind of content, especially a lot of people that are working within this niche or, other co-founders and, business owners within this niche. So, today's conversation is about, real obstacles preventing, financial companies from, making better decisions. So the three main, areas that we will be exploring is, the biggest barriers to better financial decision making, turning insights into action, and the future of Utopia as well. So one of the first questions I did want to ask yourself, David, is from your experience, what's the primary reason financial companies struggle to make, better decisions, in your opinion?
I say it's down to the information they have available. So if you're doing accounts or you're looking at your numbers 6 months after it's happened, it's too late. You can't make change, you can't be agile, you can't work out what's going on, and you're already in that hole that you've been getting into for 6 months, as I say. So it's having quick information ready to hand before you make any of them decisions. So one of the main focuses is almost like management accounts, having that available. So we're on the 10th of the month. If we're talking about the previous month, we need to have that information already to make sure we can get through now.
Yeah.
And then it's actually sitting down and going through the numbers. Some people get this information or have it readily available, but sitting down, going through it, and holding yourself accountable for it is another key thing. Because, for example, people have it, they sit there and they kind of go, yeah, but we've got sales coming in the future, so it's nothing to worry about. We'll see what happens in a month's time. Well, you're just hiding from the problem, and that's the problem. Is you need somebody to hold you accountable, to say, you want to hit them sales figures, you want to hit that goal at the end of the year. You've got to knuckle in now. You've got to buckle up and achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah, sounds like you guys really want to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you think like financial firms know how to actually use this information?
I think they should. However, do they? Possibly not. It's also a lot of trial and error at the beginning, because what I might find useful, you don't. And it's what is useful for you at that time as well, because as you're growing a business, it's very different to if you're trying to turn it profitable, or if you're growing a business and you're taking on an investment. It's a very different scenario as well, because you don't need the profit because you've got private equity or whatever's going on in the background. So there's a lot of understanding and manipulating it to work for your business. But once you get to that point, It's definitely about knowing the numbers and understanding a profit and loss, understanding what's on the balance sheet. You don't need to understand the balance sheet as such, but you just need to know, because it's affecting your business. And as a director, as nobody cares about your business more than you do, so you've got to know and understand them numbers.
Nice. And just with that, there's a lot of it seems like there's a lot of decisions to be made. And for a lot of finance teams that are out there, what would you say are the most common mistakes finance teams make when they are trying to enhance, the decision-making process?
For finance teams, I'd say the biggest problem they have is this is what's worked, this is what's always worked, and 30 years ago that same thing worked. Well, if you're still working how you worked 30 years ago, then you're not running efficiently, you're not keeping up with technology, you're not keeping up with what's going on. And there is so much tech out there that can drastically change your team. And the biggest problem I found with finance teams is essentially it's being open to change. It's having the right mindset. It's having the right people in place that are willing to learn new software, do it slightly differently, challenge the numbers, or challenge what's always happened. They have a tendency to kind of go, well, we've always done it this way. We've always written down these documents and posted them here and done this. But why?
Mm.
And that's the problem. Well, because that's what I was taught 20 years ago, 30 years ago, which I'd say that is the biggest problem when it comes to it. The tech is probably there, or certainly there is a lot of tech out there that they're not using. It's the mindset and training, the shift in procedures.
Nice. I like that phrase, the shift. That's actually what we call our podcast, the Navvai shift. But you also said something that was interesting as well, which is the times have changed, so there has been transition and shift. You actually did mention on a podcast you was with Daniel O'Sullivan. You actually mentioned that companies should be embracing AI. Now, could you explain how AI can be leveraged to help companies make better financial decisions?
But it all comes down to timing and speed, and AI is able to give you that information almost instantly. It can work much more efficiently, providing it's got the right parameters in place, and providing it's been set up properly. It's much better at analyzing data, and the problem is from a financial point of view, everything is data, and everything has been built for a robotic view, like to produce a set of accounts, to produce numbers, to look at numbers. It's robotic, it's computerized. So if that's how we're building it, then AI is going to be able to pull it apart much better than a human is. And if you can take the human out of it, you take the human error opportunities out. So that's where I see it going, is streamlining and giving live information. Maybe we're talking a couple of hours out, but essentially we're talking hours, not if I go back to my previous practice that I used to work at, they were giving businesses their numbers 9 months after their year end. So we're talking, this is 18 months out of date. How can you make a decision on what happened 18 months ago? As a small business, everything has changed in 18 months.
Yeah, that's pretty tough and harsh. And what would you say is some of the toughest financial decisions accounting firms face, and how do you think they could navigate them more efficiently?
I'd say one of the biggest problems at the moment is staff, and it's recruitment. It's really hard to find the right people. It's really hard to recruit it, and those who are good are, or have been over the last years, kind of demanding quite a good salary, which makes it very difficult from an employer point of view. And I think AI is going to drastically change that. It's enabling people who maybe haven't spent 10 years studying, who haven't had all the experiences that probably is needed, AI can have that experience within an hour, because you can just upload everything to their database. That's able to do that, and then it will be able to produce the information. We're actually just talking about it now. Like, it can analyze a P&L, it can tell you what's going on, what targets to do, what summaries to have, and things like that. So it's going to make a huge difference in feedback. What I think the role then becomes for us is actually we become more of a business coach. We become more of somebody who's holding you accountable, training you on what to look for, what to understand, and what to go away and do, and then just making sure you actually do what you said you will do.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. In terms of like talent, would you go for someone, like for example, if you were to hire someone that's brand new into your company, would you go for someone that has more experience understanding AI tools over someone that is, you know, completely fresh to it?
Absolutely. I have to say, we're on a recruitment at the moment, so we're looking for people, and we are kind of going, we've kind of gone two ways. We've got one person who is able to kind of do the tech, and we need them to be able to do all the tech and understand the tech and do that side of it. But we're also going for somebody who's a little bit more experienced that can kind of just take that bit away from us, so they can do it all. To be honest, it doesn't matter how it's done. It's just that it's done, and it's done correctly. So I have quite an interesting conversation with people about when it comes to like people using tech. I'm more than happy with someone being quote unquote lazy because they're using AI to do all the work for them. If they're doing 5 times the amount of work as someone else, and it's all being done to the same standard, it's all being done efficiently and correctly, then it just brings profit margins up, and it makes everything work and more efficiently. It works.
Yeah, nice.
So would you say the tech aspect is kind of more valuable than having the core accounting skills in today's society, or would you still say that the fundamental skills are still quite significant and important?
At the moment, I would say accounting skills are still very useful, because when things go wrong or when things aren't quite perfect, you need somebody who knows how to fix that problem. And you need to be able to go in, dive in, understand what's going on. But from a 90% of the workflow side, you could have AI doing it, or you don't need a person to be doing that, or a technical person doing it. You could have anyone doing the work using a bit of software that helps them out. The key bit is when the software doesn't quite get it right because of input, what does that mean, and how do you pick up on that, and how are you aware that that is not quite gone perfectly? So until I think maybe 6 months, maybe 9 months, the softwares are narrowed down on everything, it's not quite there, in my opinion.
I'm with you. That's insightful. I did want to ask as well, this is in relation to like bottlenecks. How much of the bottlenecks in financial decision making comes from internal processes versus external factors like, you know, regulations or market conditions?
I would say a huge amount is internal. Getting hold of information from internal team members is painful. Getting a decision, especially when you start to go up the ladder and you've got bigger companies, getting a decision from somebody is extremely painful. It's hard, and nobody wants to take that responsibility. So there is a huge number of bottlenecks there the whole way through. And people are the biggest problem of, I'd say, any business. So the more you can streamline, the more you can cut back, the better.
Amazing, yeah. So you're on I want to say a rampage in terms of like hiring, but you are looking to get new people in. Are you seeing in the financial industry or your industry that people are, you know, maybe cutting down on, you know, hiring new staff because of the tools that are accessible to people?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're actually getting work from it. So I guess in a nice way, but companies of certain sizes are now kind of going, right, well, we can replace our finance department of 2 or 3 people, and we can bring in kind of part-time accountants that can do all that, or fractional accountants, or however you want to kind of word it. But essentially we can come in and become their finance department, and it's a lot cheaper to use us than it is to use 3 people on the payroll, paying national insurance, paying pension costs, paying everything else. So I'd say businesses are definitely, or slightly bigger businesses are definitely getting to a point now where they can do a lot more without employing their finance team, or they can streamline what they're doing and they can reduce their finance team. And I mean, all you've got to do is look across the big corporates, and the redundancies that are happening so far and that will keep happening this year. It's going to be huge, and they're all cutting back because they can be a lot more productive. They can be a lot more efficient using different procedures and looking at things slightly differently.
Yeah. I definitely think it's important for people to learn about artificial intelligence tools to get an understanding of them, because like even you've mentioned, for example, if you were to hire someone, if they did have the skills relevant to use AI tools, that would be a huge winning factor versus someone that doesn't, which is pretty interesting. And you've mentioned today quite a few times streamlining. I think it's huge within the financial sector at the moment. So you use a tool called Zero. Yeah. So where do you see the biggest inefficiencies in traditional finance teams, and how can automation help them address them?
So I mean, there's various different things. We're completely paperless, and the amount of companies that sit there and still have somebody keying in data, keying it into their platform, writing the date, writing all the information out, and there's OCR readers, or there's software out there that can just scrape the invoices and put them on the system for us. That's huge. There's things like we run a payroll. We ping across to you and say, look, here's the 50 staff you have. Are you happy to pay them? These are the amounts. You click approve. It does it for us, the open banking. So we're talking like clicks of a button, and it makes everybody's life easier. But the amount of people who aren't doing it or utilizing it, it's huge. So I think we're still right on the kind of bleeding edge of this sort of technology, and financial teams or financial departments are really negative towards change. They like having the control. They like having it done the way it's always been done, and they tend to be a stereotypical financial person, without saying too much more than that.
I'm with you. How much time is this automation, these automations and streamlining processes, how much time has it saved you? If you were to look at it from like a week's worth of work, how much time has it saved, do you reckon, throughout a week?
Well, we had a client that one client moved away from us, and we had 2 of us in the team working part-time on it, possibly 3 hours a day on the client. They hired 3 people to take over from us. So that was 3 full-time equivalents doing the same amount of what arguably 6 hours a day was happening. And then they felt like they needed more. They were growing quite quickly and things like that. But a lot of what I do is actually, let's just shave 10 minutes off here and 10 minutes off there. So like that payroll example, actually, for you to go down and even just set up the bank payment for 50 different people probably takes half an hour to an hour, whilst you're sat there and somebody comes over, you get distracted, you go back to it, then you get distracted again. And actually, it's just one click of a button. So it's cutting that half an hour down to a couple of minutes.
Right. So would you say, like, are you looking at any new kind of AI tools or automation to kind of make life easier? Because I can see that you're all about streamlining and efficiency. So I'm just kind of intrigued.
Yes, I'm always looking at different tech, anything and everything that is available. I'm always trying to work out what we can do, where we can cut, where we can streamline without losing quality. I guess that's probably the key thing. Does it cause a headache for somebody else? If it does, then it's not worth doing. Is it making it life easier for everyone, then yes, absolutely, it's worth it. And you know, even if it costs a couple of quid, it's still worth paying that money just to make everyone's life easier, because time is something you don't get back.
Nice. Nice. He's ahead of the curve, guys. He's ahead of the curve. This is where you're a business owner. This is you know where you need to be. Overall, right? Would you say that there are any bottlenecks currently being experienced by Youtopia? You know, like what's been the most difficult part of, you know, growing your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, we're not perfect ourselves. There's plenty that we're doing. So we had probably 15 different apps and software this time last year. We've cut that down to about 6 or 7, because the software is improving constantly throughout the time, and they're overlapping each other now. So it's like cutting back, making sure we have efficiencies, making sure that we're utilizing the software that we have, because the amount of businesses that aren't. We have, so me and my co-founder Catherine, we essentially everything is coming to us, and it was bottlenecking on us. So we've brought in an accountant in place that now does all of that bit, and now we're looking at what bottlenecks we've got now again. And it's constantly, you know, there will always be a bottleneck. There will always be something that you need to fix. Otherwise, you've got a perfect business. And why are you still here? Why aren't you out enjoying that life? But it's that key bit is trying to make sure you're addressing it, you're finding solutions, and you're moving forwards. Because it's easy to fall into the same thing of, you know, we're doing that, it's working. Why do we need to change it? So yes, absolutely. There's quite a few bottlenecks. However, we are doing a lot. So we've now got ultra wide screens, like that are 3 screens wide, and they're essential for every team member and things like that. So we're doing a lot internally to make sure that everybody has everything that they need, or we're pushing everybody to keep improving.
Nice. And with the processes, well, tools, I should say, that you have cut down from, did you ever have anyone that, you know, kind of like came into the office to teach people, or was it solely you understood how to use these tools and you taught them yourself?
So that's a big part of my role. I'm huge into my gadgets. I'm huge into my tech. I absolutely love both of them, and I get distracted quite easily. So when somebody's trying to teach me, I get bored and I kind of go off on a tangent anyway. So what I tend to do is I take the software on, I kind of break it, I try and make it work, I build it into the way that I want, and then I've been the one that rolls it out. I think we're now getting to a size where we're almost getting too big for that, and we need each person to kind of own one part of it. So that's what we're currently doing, is like having almost app champions, we're calling it. So they're owning their app. They're coming back to us saying, you know, we're not using these parts of the tool. What do we do? How do we do it? And coming back, which gives them ownership, and it also makes them a bit more accountable, and they're involved with it a bit more now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where we're going with that at the moment.
Nice. If financial companies, you know, want to make better decisions, what is the most critical change they would need to implement, do you think?
Better decisions. So I guess it's coming back to having that information readily available at any given time. So if you can pull up your financial data, whatever it is that you're looking at, if you can pull that up and analyze it or look at it within a few minutes, and you're looking at yesterday's information or last week's information, that's fine. If you're looking at last quarter or last year's information, you're almost too far behind. The world's changed in that time, your business has changed in that time, and the people around you have all changed. So it's outdated. So the key thing is just having one, I guess two things. I know you mentioned one, but 2 is like having somebody to pull you up on it. So if we were looking at the P&L, we're looking at that information, and we said the business is making a loss this month. What do we do? Okay, we want to double our sales next month. Okay. And then it's next month and we're sat there going, okay, we've made a loss again. What's going to happen? Oh, we need to double it again next month. You need somebody there going, what are you going to do? Where are you going to get that sales? How are you going to find that? What are you going to do to achieve what you need to achieve?
Understood. So I guess the two main points are just up-to-date information and having someone to take accountability. So I guess obviously with you, I know, David, that you have up-to-date information, and we saw on your, I think on the website or LinkedIn, that you are doubling down on AI in 2025. So what does that entail? What does that mean? Like, what specific improvements are you focused on to enhance financial operations?
We're looking at recruiting 2 or 3 people in the team. We're looking at kind of pushing that side of it, and then we're constantly going to expos, talking to different people. I'm part of like what's called an early adopters hub, which is a lot of fintech is involved. It's really quite useful. So it's startups that are bringing out tech. They go through this course, and there's a group of accountants who I would argue is the best in the country, but don't hold me to that, because there's no rules on that. But I would argue they're the best in the country, and they basically pick it apart. They say, you know, this is useful, this isn't, this is what we want, this is how it would be more useful for us. And then these software companies go away, they rebuild it, they come back before they've even gone to market. And then what happens is at the end of that program, they then decide they're going to market, and they start selling at that point. So luckily for me, I'm part of that program, and I get to give all that feedback, and I get to see what companies are doing. Then we have massive expos like Digital Accountancy Show, Accountex, and there's various others. Don't hold me to just them two, but they're the 2 that I like and I tend to go to. And it's trying to find the companies out there that aren't, like you've mentioned, I use Xero. So everybody knows Xero. Xero is kind of a thing, but that's not the one I'm looking to see. I don't want to know what's going on with Xero unless there's something drastically they're changing. I want to find the small companies that are starting up that are going to change the world and are going to do things. So it's having conversations, it's talking to people like you guys, and it's talking to as many people as I can to try and understand what I'm missing, if there is anything I am missing.
What with you? Taking things away from AI ever so slightly. I'm a person that likes a story, and I like adversity. I'm pretty sure you've seen Rocky all the way up to Creed. But what's been one of the hardest decisions that you've had to make while growing Youtopia? You know, how did you overcome it, and how did it feel?
Hardest decision. So when we first started, well, I guess if I kind of tell you how we started. So we decided to go off on our own, set up 6 months before we did like 2 years worth of research, kind of understanding what's going on, how it's all going to work. 6 months prior to us going on our own, I bought a house, got a mortgage. Great news. Fast forward 6 months, I quit my job. I go down to no income, and essentially I'm taking out 500 quid a month to pay the mortgage, and that's about it. That's about all I'm doing. Desperately trying to find work. My business partner has also done the same thing, and we get to the point we had sort of like 5 or 6 grand sat in the bank to get us through the first couple of months. Great. They got us to one point and it was drying up. So she took out a personal loan. I couldn't do it at the time. My credit history had gone. I couldn't take out any money. She took out a personal loan, put the money back into the company. Again, that's drying up. We're kind of sat here thinking like, this has got to work. How do we make it work? I, in the end, went to job interviews for an accountant or a bookkeeper, and I'd say, I can do it, or I can actually do it through the company, and we got 2 clients from it, and that was enough to kind of kickstart and get things going. And then there was one day we're sat in the cold at the train station waiting to go to Digital Accountancy Show, actually waiting to go to an event in London to learn about the industry and what's going on. again, we're still kind of at this early stage. We've only got these 2 clients. We're still not covering the bills. And we both said sort of 6:15 a.m., do we stop? Do we give up? Like, this is not working. And ironically, on the same train was a client that we had, a potential client that we had given a proposal to, who came over and said, yeah, I'm going to sign it all up tonight. Just let me go through it all and I'll come back to you by this evening. And that was the motivation we needed. You know, that changed our whole day. It kind of kickstarted us, got us going, gave us the motivation. And we've probably had 3 points throughout the business where we've gone, is this going to work? Do we give up? Like, what do we do? We need to like look at it and take a step back. And every time that's happened, something has given us a new client has signed up, a new client has approached us, somebody has asked for a quote, and it's given us that motivation to go, do you know what, actually this is going to work, this is going to make it. And fortunately for us, it has. A lot of hard work, a lot of graft, and a lot of tiring days, but we're now coming out the other end, I think, touch wood.
Wow. David, as you started the story, my face was kind of straight, and then as we leaned towards the end, I had this smile on my face, which was like, it was like you've dug for gold and found it.
Original story.
It's truly impressive. I feel like a lot of founders, business owners, they go through that trial and tribulation. But wow, that's amazing. That's fired me up.
Good. That's the point.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. So with Youtopia, it's growing and it's expanding its reach. You know, you've got a really decent following on Instagram. I've seen that you're, creating a lot of content on YouTube and so forth, which is amazing. What's been the biggest learning curve for you?
To take every opportunity you can. No opportunity is necessarily a bad opportunity. I again, looking at what I've done and where I've been, like, I grew up in a village, like on a farm, wouldn't expect to be an accountant, and I got invited a couple of years ago on a skiing holiday with the top people in the industry. Like, this was like huge. It's a market leading event. There was about 20 of the top accountants, the top software providers in the industry, all on this skiing snowboarding trip. I've never been before, never done it. But why not? What's the worst that can happen? And I've built some great relationships out of it. I've built some incredible friends, and it's helped no end. And I'd say that's the things that I've learned the most, is the opportunities that come around. If you can, obviously, it depends on circumstances and things like that, but if you get an opportunity, jump at it with 2 feet, because you never know what's going to happen on the back of it.
Nice. How was that ski trip? Did you get
Oh, it was incredible. I actually was snowboarding, and day one couldn't even get on a ski lift because I ended up flat on my face, and these French guys were like, what the hell are you doing? Like, they're shouting at me in French, like furious, because I'd just gone flat on my face and being dragged along on this ski lift, and the snowboard's in the snow behind me. By the end of it, I think I actually tried to do a jump stupidly and ended up doing a somersault and landing flat on my face. But it was the most incredible thing ever, and I'm so glad I've learned how to snowboard, and I'd love to do any trips if there are any in the future.
Amazing.
Wish me luck, because I know I'm going skiing in April, so hopefully I don't want to land on my face or anything, but
I'm sure you'll be fine.
Fingers crossed, David. But where would you say Youtopia is heading within the next 6 to 12 months?
The moon.
The moon is far enough to Mars.
No, I'll take the moon first. No, we're slowly growing. I think we'll be a team of hopefully 12 people by then. I'll be kind of one step out of the business. I'll be doing more of like the sales and marketing side, and I won't actually be doing any of the day-to-day work. The key thing that we're doing at the moment is we take a day or half a day out and try and focus on working on the business, not in the business. And then it's that side of it. So it's trying to kind of come out and focus on what I call it is the fun stuff, the bits that I enjoy doing, the bits that I want to do, and stepping away from the day to day. So I think potentially in a year's time, we might even double in size. We might be looking to kind of keep pushing and see where we end up. It's quite an aggressive growth plan we've got, and we achieved 50% year-on-year growth for the first 4 years. Year 5 was a slow year because we actually sacked our 2 biggest clients, and then we're now kind of rebuilding again.
Wow. Okay, guys, David's going to the moon, not Mars. So David, for our listeners, where can people find you? Where can they learn more about what you do?
So I mean, I'd say LinkedIn is probably the best place. LinkedIn is my only social media that I'm very good on. I'm not very good on any of the others. I try, but no, it's LinkedIn. I have a lot of posts, a lot of kind of what's going on. We've got our own channel on Spotify and things like that. We're building a podcast as well, so that's always great. But personally, send me a message on LinkedIn.